Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dylan, I'm your host. And today, guys, we are going to be talking about, first, we're going to be talking about this new studio setup. So, before we get in the mindset, before you see what the episode's title and you already know what's going to happen, we're going to talk about this little studio setup. So, I been doing some coaching with mentor of mine, and one of the things that we want to make sure when we're doing content and videos and all that kind of good stuff is that we have a nice setup for our video content. And part of this is having a studio setup that just stops the scroll, right? Making sure that as people are scrolling on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, that it's a little bit unique. So we've added some color behind me here in the studio. I got some color lights through this, and frankly, it's kind of turning out pretty good. Then we've got some other lights in the corners here to give a little contrast and shadow effect, which I'm pretty happy with. I'm going to be playing with this a lot more, and really just playing with the studio setup to give some other look and feel. So if you follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn or any of those other places, you'll start to see a bunch of content uh, being created this spot. So without further ado, I want to talk about mindset. Um, and a lot of this, just like doing video content, doing anything else, mindset is a huge part of it. You know, are you in the right mindset to go and shoot video content? Are you willing to maybe get a little uncomfortable at first to put yourself on camera, to make your opinion known, to put yourself out there? And that's a huge thing for a lot of people. And mindset is what holds most people back, right? As you hear other folks talk about it, and probably even in your own firm, you're looking for who's, right? Who are they? And it's all about their mindset. What type of mentality do they have? It's not that they're, maybe, and maybe they are, but for the most part, in what we're doing, they don't need to be a physical specimen, right? They don't need to be somebody who is, 6'4" with a 40-inch vertical, like we're not looking for LeBron James. We're looking for people that have the right attitude and mindset to be in the construction industry, to do what we do day in and day out. And so when we talk about mindset, right, it's all about thinking, right? It's your mental state, it's your emotional center, if you will. So if you're anxious, sad, happy, excited, focused, determined, those are descriptors of what your kind of state is most of the time. And so where does your emotional center, where does your mood, where does your feelings, where does all that stuff that we really don't like to talk about, where are you centered at? If you're pissed off and depressed all the time, like, you're not going to be a good teammate. If you're anxious or worried or fretting, right, you're not going to be able to execute on the things you need to do. But if you're focused, if you're determined, if you're optimistic, right, that's going to create a whole different set of outcomes on your projects. So because our feelings affect our thoughts, we need to make sure that our feelings, I'm going to use the word in check, right? To check our feelings, but to make sure that we're not letting our emotions cloud our judgment. And I know this is a lot easier said than done, but the first thing that we need to do is be aware that our emotions have an effect on us, right? If our emotions have no effect on us, then it would never be something to even worry about. So we know that our emotions have an effect on us. We know that we need to take our emotions into consideration. We know that it's something that we've just got to deal with in some cases, right? Some things are going to get us more emotional than others. Some is going to be a really simple thing to deal with. And we just need to know and be aware that, hey, our emotions might cloud our judgment. Cool. Okay, now what can we do about it, right? How do we mitigate this? Do we respond to emails when we're frustrated or flustered or pissed off? No, you wait. You wait a couple hours, sleep on it, whatever it might be, so that you can answer those emails, those things without clouded judgment, pretty simple. So if you can't think clearly, if you can't be in control of your emotions, you're just not going to make good decisions. And the reason I bring this up in about mindset, about the state of your feelings and thoughts is you're just you're not going to be able to execute at the levels that you want, right? We're in January, we're in dreams, we're in goals, we're looking forward to the future. And hopefully, by the airing of this recording, you haven't fallen off what you said you were going to do, right? January 12th is like National Quitting Day. So hopefully, you have not quit on your dreams today, right? That you are still going, you are still pushing forward, and you are still going after those resolutions that you set on December 31st. So let's make sure that we're on track, that we're keeping going, and that we start to think about how we're feeling, our thoughts, our emotions, and not be clouded in our judgment. So we want to do some exercises around clear thinking. And most of this is being aware, right? Can you calm yourself? Can you center yourself? Can you take that minute to pause and reflect on whatever situation it is that you're dealing with, right? If you're trying to get a proposal out and you're anxious about the pricing or costing or anything else on that proposal, making sure that it's scoped correctly, making sure that you're pricing things correctly. Like, are we clear headed about it? Are we rational about it? Or are we getting emotional and then giving like discounts that we don't need to give? Right? Like, it's that simple. So, and I know I say that it's simple. It is simple in concept. It is more difficult in execution. And the whole thing that we want to do here is make execution simpler. So, being aware of your emotional state, being aware of your thoughts, right? Whether you're going down a deep, dark rabbit hole or you're going up to a positive, optimistic, like what can happen type of mind frame is all the difference in the world. And that's where most of the differences are going to happen between a small business and a big business. It's all in the mindset that the owner, that the leadership team brings to the table. So we want to make you aware of a lot of these things. Now, there's a really good book that you can read on this. And with it, there's a lot of exercises to do within the book. A lot of this goes around being able to visualize, being able to clearly think, being able to focus, being able to sit and be with your own thoughts for 10, 15 minutes, being able to not move, being in control of your physical body as well as your mental state. The book is The Master Key System by Charles Haanel. It's been around for 100 plus years now. I think 1912 was when it was originally published, so 110 years. And at the end of each chapter, he does a lot of basically explanations as well as exercises. Right, one of them is to sit to sit in a chair, hands on your knees, and not move for 15 minutes. Can you like try it? And once you can master that, then you can move on to the next. There's 24 basically weeks is what he breaks it down into, 24 chapters. And with that, each chapter has a lesson at the end of it. And the reason I say weeks is that's what he broke it down into, and that you're supposed to read each chapter every day for a week, do the exercise every day for a week until you get it, till you master it, right? One of them is to visualize a box, right? To put lines on a wall, visualize it in your mind, turn the box different colors, right? The lines to turn red, to turn yellow, to turn blue, to turn pink. Can you make the box bigger or smaller? And do that all in your mind, right? And now, like saying this, you might think I'm a little crazy. Like, why would a guy talking about construction bring up this mindset stuff, this visualization thing? Well, if you're a fan of Michigan football and this whole thing, JJ McCarthy and him visualizing, the winning of the championship. And if you look at every other athlete and them visualizing the win, visualizing throwing that winning touchdown pass, visualizing hoisting that trophy, you'll see that they have these repetitions that are thousands or millions of times in their mind before they ever executed the thing. And you're going to see, in having a negotiation conversation, if you roll over that over and over and over again in your mind, you're going to be able to then have a better negotiation because you've already done the rebuttals, done the answers. You've already worked through that in your mind. And then for on site, if there's a problem that you're going to have to go and deal with, and you roll over those interactions, what to say, how to say it, the tone of your voice. Are you yelling at somebody, or are you being quiet and reserved, even though you're not really pleased with the things that are happening? How are you using your voice, your intonation? Are you talking fast? Are you talking slower? And you're bringing the energy levels down a little bit, making people feel more at ease. Or are you all up in their face, talking so fast that they just want to get you out of there because they are so livid at what you're doing, how you're acting, and they just want to let you go, right? Very different things. So, being in control of your mind, your emotions, your voice, visualizing how that's going to happen, these are huge assets for you to have in your toolbox. Whether you're walking on site, whether you're having a difficult conversation with business partner, with somebody on the site, some other trade that you're dealing with, whether you're, in my position as electrical engineer, whether I'm dealing with electrical foreman or estimator and making sure that they have what they need, right? Each of these things matters tremendously. And so having control of your emotions, your mindset, reading good books, doing the exercises, right? These aren't just like recommendations to take lightly. These are something to actually implement into your life. And so the more that you do this, the more that you visualize, the more that you dream at the outcome, right? And you want to dream at the outcome you want, right? If you want to be healthier, you need to have a picture of what health looks like in your mind. Don't picture a sick, decrepit, blind, deaf, mute, ghastly old man, right? Like, don't do that. Picture, you know, Arnold in his prime. Picture your favorite athlete in their prime, right? Whoever you want to be like, picture that, right? Have that as the ideal of health, and you'll get there. Same with abundance, right? Think of abundance, not lack. Think of being wealthy and that there's no meal or bill that you couldn't pay, right? Like all those things are what you think about rather than having nothing, right? Not being able to pay any bill and, getting your card declined at the checkout, right? Think about the upside of that. What's going to be in your benefit and an ideal of abundance. So, as you move forward, as you do these exercises, as you go read the master key system, you're going to have a lot of these benefits, and it's going to be slow. It's not going to be overnight transition, transformation from a person who doesn't know and isn't in control of their environment, their emotions, their person, their being, their mental state. You're going to evolve and do this over time. So, my thing for you is not only go read Master Key System, not only go do the exercises, but just be aware of how you interact on a daily basis, right? We get into a lot of heightened emotional conversations, right? People screw stuff up, they mess schedule up, they mess budget up. There's a lot of money, time, people's livelihoods on the line. So what we do and the decisions we make are not to be taken lightly. And the more control that you have on your mental state, your mental faculties, your emotions, the better off you're going to be, your organization's going to be, and the easier it is for you to move forward. So, guys, take care of your mindset, get it right, and you'll see a lot of benefits. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Construction Corner podcast. And until next time.